today I'm in Hendersonville and it snowed for the first time in a few years actually. I'm gonna ride around and also try to check out a few of the little free libraries that they have around town, see what kind of books are in there.
Have you ever heard of little free libraries? This video is all about books, bikes, and scavenger hunts. And if you don't know what a little free library is, I'll explain in a second. If you're new here, we just moved back to the US, and I've been seeing all these little boxes with books scattered around town during my recent bike rides. So on a snow day in January, I decided to try and see how many I could find on one ride. I do have my route linked below as usual, but it's a little all over the place, so I would just use it as a reference to see where each of these little libraries are, and then you can make a more streamlined route from there. So the Little Free Library is a nonprofit organization that promotes neighborhood book exchanges. It was started in St. Paul, Minnesota to promote reading. I'm not affiliated with them or sponsored or anything, but I just think it's a cool concept, and it turns out there happens to be a lot of little libraries here. Their mission is to be a catalyst for building community, inspiring readers, and expanding book access for all through a global network of volunteer-led Little Free Library book exchange boxes. These book-sharing boxes are open 24/7 and located in communities where people can easily walk to them, access them freely, and not worry about a library card, late fees, or business hours. The first library I found was listed as the high school's Global Lens Club library. In the non-winter months, this is a community garden.
Here's the first Little Free Library that I biked by. There it is.
This one had a good mix of books for all different ages. As I continued down 5th Avenue, I actually had to turn around because I saw another little library across the street. The door had been left open, but none of the books seemed damaged, luckily.
There we go.
There are over 200,000 little free libraries in the world, but I didn't realize how many were concentrated here in Hendersonville.
I think some of the houses on 4th Avenue are really pretty. This house got hit pretty hard by the hurricane, unfortunately, but they are rebuilding it, luckily.
I actually pinned all the little libraries from this video on a saved Google map, which you can find linked below too. That way, instead of a set bike route, you can also just see where each library is located on a map. I found out after this that the Little Free Library website actually has their own world map, so you can check that out for your neighborhood. However, a couple libraries I saw on my ride weren't listed on their map yet, so that's why I also made my own version. The snowplows were hard at work today clearing the roads.
So pretty soon the Ecusta Trail is going to open, and it's an old rail trail that got converted into a walkway or bikeway. And it's right next to me, and soon we'll be able to ride it from downtown Hendersonville all the way to downtown Brevard.
The Ecusta Trail will replace the railroad tracks here that are out of service. Trains don't come through here anymore, so the flat path can now be converted to be used for walking and biking. This will be a 19-mile trail connecting downtown Hendersonville to downtown Brevard when finished. Ecusta means rippling waters in Cherokee, or Jalagi, which is the native language spoken by one of the indigenous nations in this area. It was also the original name of the nearby Davidson River in Pisgah National Forest. Something cool about the Cherokee language is that it uses a syllabary instead of an alphabet, where each symbol makes a specific sound. It's the same for Japanese with hiragana and katakana.
It's nice because the snow is keeping a lot of cars off the road, so I can ride pretty peacefully out here on roads that are usually more busy. And it's not too slushy or icy yet, and it's also not too deep. So it's like the perfect conditions where I can ride with my mountain bike. I think with the deeper snow, I would just be sliding all over the place. Here's a Little Free Library, number 3. This one has a cute painted box. Oh, this one has a puzzle in it. This is a good book. Classic.
These book sharing boxes are a simple idea, but they do a lot to help literacy rates, especially for kids. Actually, just this month, February 2025, the Little Free Library nonprofit released a new study that showed the positive influence these libraries have on communities. The press release is linked below.
Oh, a Barbara Kingsolver novel. And a Stephen King novel. The Summer of Everything. Looks pretty good. The Book of Garnishing. That is very specific.
Here in Laurel Park, you can bike by this old spring. You used to be able to drink the water straight from here in the late 1800s. It's not safe to drink anymore, but it's still pretty to look at.
Another library. Little Christmas stories. Huh, Atlantis.
Whoever lives here is a talented cyclist. Lots of medals hanging on a cool old bike by their driveway. This log cabin property is on the National Register of Historical Places. It says that the house was built in 1912 and is one of the earliest houses built in Laurel Park. It's described as an early example of the rustic revival style from the early 1900s. The barn next to it was constructed with logs from the original 1837 cabin on the property.
I think that woodlawn cabin is so pretty. And then in the snow, it looks like a little fairy tale cabin or something. It's kind of slippery, but there's like one gravel road back here, so it's kind of deep in this section, but also really fun because there's no cars.
Someone who lives here has carved a couple bears into the wood here, and a couple even have medals on them from bike races in the region. If you climb up to the top of Laurel Park, you can admire the view from Jump Off Rock. You can pause here to read the whole Jump Off Rock legend, but it's a pretty sad story about a young Cherokee woman jumping off the rock after learning that the chief she loved was killed in battle. I didn't find any libraries up in this Laurel Park area on this ride, but another day I found one up here on Park Drive, on Sabine Drive, and on Hebron Road, which I included in my map below. Apparently this rock wall along the road here is one of the old Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC, projects in the county from the 1930s. During the Great Depression, this group was created to employ unmarried men aged 18 to 25 to help restore or repair the country's natural resources. This rock wall is pretty minor, but the organization worked on things like the construction of the Blue Ridge Parkway, planting trees to restore clear-cut forests, building bridges, restoring watersheds, and constructing parks or recreation sites. There used to be a rail line that went from Hendersonville's Main Street down to the base of the Laurel Park homes on what's now Fifth Avenue, but it was called the dummy line because it couldn't turn around. It just went out and back, and it lasted only from 1905 to 1917.
This might be the littlest one. Look how cute it is. There's a bunch of books in here though. Oh, Living in the Fourth Dimension. The Count of Monte Cristo. Very cute. Oh, this is a big one.
Now I'm riding over to the historic 7th Avenue district of Hendersonville. which actually just reopened after construction in November to help make it more walkable and highlight the historic character. This was the location of the city's first train depot, established in 1879. The Southern Railway route, that's so hard to say. Anyway, the Southern Railway route went through here on its path to the famous Saluda Grade. The Yellow Depot building is now home to the Apple Valley Model Railroad Club, which has an impressive model railway display that spans a few rooms inside and depicts a miniature version of the Western North Carolina railroads and towns. They're open on Wednesdays and Saturdays only, but it is free to the public. The secondhand and vintage store actually closed this month, but its name, Junk and Disorderly, was so good. Next to it is another little library, though this one is a bit different from the rest. Oh, that's nice. So instead of this being a book library, this is a food library. So if you're in need of supplies or food, you can come here and you can get whatever you need, which is really nice. This is in the 7th Avenue Historic District of Hendersonville. Down the street, there's a mini golf or putt-putt course, and some places to put your bike if you ride over. Each mini golf hole highlights something from Henderson County, like the apple orchards featured on hole 1. There are also a couple of these painted bears. This one is honoring Laura E. Korn, who the mini golf course is also named for. She was a teacher for 4 decades and operated the mini golf course for 34 summers. Every year there are new bears painted by local artists, and they're auctioned to raise money for nonprofits in the area. The bears are revealed in May, displayed on Main Street all summer and fall, and then they go to their new homes after the auction. This other bear at the entrance of the mini golf park is the 175th anniversary bear for the city of Hendersonville's 175th birthday. Something I missed when we lived in Japan was a good diner with American breakfast food, and this one across from the high school is really good. I got biscuits and pancakes there with a friend the other day. At this point I was having trouble finding more libraries, and then I remembered seeing one way out past downtown, near the Canoga Mountain Bike Park. Here I'm crossing what will be the future Ecusta Trail that I mentioned earlier. Very excited for that. And going south of downtown. I saw this cool library on my way. This one's mermaid themed. It's probably one of my favorites, I think. Because the roof has these scales even. Very cool. Got some old books and new books. Cookbooks. I rode around Osceola Lake and made my way to Sugar Hollow Road. It's definitely getting colder now that the sun's going down. So this is the last little free library, and then I'm gonna go get some hot chocolate. Last one! My GoPro died like right as I got to this last one, so good timing, I guess. Thanks for coming with me! I rode home from there, and we actually haven't had any snow days since. However, I did find one more library later. Hello, it's future Annie, because I remembered there is a little free library out here. Kind of a bit of a detour from the other ones, but if you're over here, and this is a really pretty area to ride in, you can stop here and get another book. So there's at least a dozen little libraries to go find in the Hendersonville area, or you can use the National Library map to go on your own scavenger hunt in your neighborhood. Thanks as always for joining me on the ride, and hope to see you in the next video.